Let's just face it. We live in some pretty chaotic, fast-moving, and frankly, confusing times. It can feel like the ground is just constantly shifting under our feet, right? And just keeping your balance can feel like a full-time job. So, how do we stand firm when everything around us feels so slippery?
All right, so let's dive into this. This line, it's powerful stuff. It comes from a sermon that was given way back in the 1930s by a guy named Harry Emerson Fosdick. And believe me, that was another incredibly chaotic time in history. The whole idea is simple, but wow, is it profound. The point is that some ideas, some words, are so strong and so true that they can act like an anchor for your soul, giving you real stability when the world is trying to sweep you away.
You hear it all the time, right? Life is supposed to be this grand, forward-looking adventure. But before we can even think about going out to change the world, we've got a much more basic problem on our hands. Just not getting knocked over by it. The simple, maybe not so glamorous task of just holding on, well, that's often the real work.
And this really highlights a fascinating contrast. On one side, you've got this popular idea of high adventure, but on the other hand, you have the reality for so many of us, which is just trying to stand our ground. And the sermon makes this amazing point. You absolutely cannot have that first one without mastering the second. I mean, think about it. A person who can't even keep their own footing isn't going to be very venturesome, are they?
Okay, this little story from the sermon is just a fantastic metaphor for our times and our big rush to modernize, to spring clean our lives and our beliefs. Could we be accidentally throwing out the very ideas that hold the most value? Are we, in all our hurry, selling off these deep spiritual convictions that once kept people on their feet, thinking they're nothing more than a pile of old books? It's a scary thought.
So think of this explainer as a kind of treasure hunt. We're about to go digging. We're going to rediscover 3 of those priceless ideas from Fosdick's sermon. 3 timeless words that are designed to help people then and now keep their footing.
And let me be clear, these are not just some historical curiosities. These are foundational principles for building your own inner stability, no matter what era you live in. You can think of them as essential tools for your resilience toolkit. So, you ready? Let's get into the first one. So, the first big idea really boils down to a fundamental choice you have to make. It's all about perspective. How do you see your own existence? Is it all just a random accident? Or is it something that's actually been entrusted to you?
Let's really break this down. On the one hand, you have the life as accident view. This says we're just a cosmic fluke, a fortuitous byproduct of the dust. No real purpose. But the alternative, well, that's seeing life as a trust, a sacred responsibility, a mission that is way too significant to be wasted or treated carelessly. So the big question becomes, which of these 2 ideas gives you a firmer place to stand?
If you really take that life as accident worldview and follow it to its logical conclusion, this is kind of where you can end up. And this is an actual quote from a writer who was trying to be brutally honest about that perspective. I mean, you have to ask yourself, can an idea like that, can it really help anyone keep their footing in a storm?
And this is a perfect illustration of the power on the other side of the coin. When Abraham Lincoln gave a speech saying, "Let me go down linked to the truth," knowing it would cost him everything politically, he wasn't playing a game to be won. He was honoring a sacred trust. And that perspective gave him an incredible strength, an unbelievable stability, even when he was staring political defeat right in the face.
All right, let's move on to our second big idea. And this one directly challenges our modern obsession with external success. It's the radical notion that sometimes the greatest victories are found in what the rest of the world just calls defeat.
This question really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Who does history actually remember as the true victors? Is it the people who had power for a moment, like Nero, or is it the martyrs he persecuted? Is it Pontius Pilate, or the man he condemned? It really forces you to rethink your entire definition of what it means to win. Seriously, think about it. Helen Keller faced the absolutely crushing defeat of losing both her sight and her hearing, but out of that darkness, she forged one of the most shining inner successes in all of history. Socrates. He was condemned to die by his judges, but his unwavering integrity made him the true victor. You see, the real spiritual enrichment of humankind comes from these stories of inner victory against the odds.
So here's the crucial point. The ultimate success, the real victory, is keeping your honor, your integrity, what Serrano called his white plume, unstained, no matter what happens on the outside. That is a victory that no one can ever take away from you. And that is a foundation you can always, always stand on.
Okay, so on to our third and final idea. Having noble ideals, that's great. Believing in success through defeat, that's incredibly powerful. But where do we get the energy for the struggle? Where does the fuel come from? This idea suggests there is a deep, deep source of power available to every single one of us.
Now here's a problem that feels incredibly modern, doesn't it? We have all these blueprints for a better world, social causes we care about, ethical principles we want to live by, but so often we lack the personal, spiritual power to actually do the building. It's like our ideals demand everything from us, but they don't supply any of the energy we need for the fight.
And hey, this isn't some niche religious point. This quote here is from Walter Lippmann, a well-known non-theist thinker. He recognized a universal truth. We as humans need to connect with a purpose that is greater than ourselves to find the strength to endure. That connection is what can fortify and inspirit and compose us. It's what gives us the power to keep going.
And the really good news is you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a perfect philosophy or all the answers. It's about being open. It's about sinking a well, even just a small one, into those deeper resources. It's about lifting your own spirit up and drawing strength from a purpose that is mightier than you are. So there they are. Let's put it all together. 3 timeless ideas for keeping your footing. First, see your life not as a random accident, but as a sacred trust. Second, redefine success. Understand that true victory is maintaining your integrity, even in what looks like defeat. And third, know that you can tap into a source of power that's bigger than yourself for the journey ahead.
You know, these ideas have helped people stand firm for centuries. They offer a powerful alternative to just being tossed around by the chaos of the day. And that brings me to a final thought for you to take away. In these slippery times we're living in, what are the core beliefs, the foundational words that are keeping you standing?